Welcome to A Space to Speak Your Mind,
a radio programme and a podcast about mental health and well-being.
Made by people with lived experience.
in association with Cornwall Mind.
We do occasionally cover subjects that some listeners may find distressing.
For more information, help and support, please visit cornwallmind.org.
A space to speak your mind with Cornwall Mind for better mental health.
Welcome to the January show of A Space to Speak Your Mind.
I'm Theo.
And I'm Bryony.
How are you feeling about the new year, Bryony?
Slightly optimistic because, it's thinking about what you're going to do for this whole new year. But yeah, in the middle, I'll say. How about you, Theo?
Yeah, I'm feeling quite refreshed. I'm looking forward to whatever this new year holds. It's a good time to kind of take stock, reflect and look back at the past year and set intentions, that kind of thing. Can be useful.
That's actually a good point, reflecting on back the previous year of what we've done, because I don't think people think about what you did last year.
Yeah, counting your successes, and maybe going over those journals can be a nice thing, that kind of thing, starting a brand new leaf.
Yeah, or sometimes starting a brand new job. Who knows? So, on this month's programme,
we will be covering
Intimate Partner Violence, Abuse is Not Love with Sarah Davidge.
Menopause with Lisa and how that affects her daily life.
And we'll be introducing Chelsie from Cornwall Mind and learning about her job and Cornwall Mind organisation.
A space to speak your mind with Cornwall Mind.
We are here with Chelsie from Cornwall Mind, who is a High Intensity User Caseworker. Chelsie, welcome to the show.
Hi.
So, would you like to tell us what inspired you towards working in mental health and with Cornwall Mind?
Yeah, so it's kind of a long story. It started in school and college. I was never a very academic person at all. I kind of took up psychology as an A-level just because I've heard it's quite cool. And I really enjoyed it. I went home, I was talking to my family about it all the time, probably boring them, and it was a really good subject. And then in my second year of college, I unfortunately lost one of my friends to suicide. And that kind of gave me that real drive to, okay, this is a subject I love, but also I really want to do my part in stopping this from happening, no matter how big or small that is. So yeah, that led eventually to going to university, studying psychology, and I did a master's in clinical psychology before taking up this role at Cornwall Mind.
So what does high intensity stand for in your name?
Yeah, so it kind of means two different things. On paper, high intensity user describes the population of people that I work with. So I work with frequent callers or users of emergency departments. So that includes 999 and 111. So on paper, that means that they are high intensity users of the service, but it also, we like to flip it. We bring high intensity to our approach to working with clients. So it kind of works both ways for both the clients and us as a team.
So I'm wondering, Chelsie, how do you feel about resources available in Cornwall for mental health?
So if you asked me this a year ago, I probably would have said they're not the best. I know the NHS services are really stretched and that can be difficult, and there's definitely barriers to engaging with systems. However, I have recently been kind of going around to Cornwall Mind groups and just seeing what's out there in the social circles. So there's lots of amazing groups. I've been to a Cornwall Mind one earlier this week at the Falmouth allotment, which was a great group and it just felt very supportive and welcoming. But there's lots of other things out there. I've got to do amazing things like crochet groups with clients and knitting groups and kind of like knit and natter groups. And yeah, there's definitely structured kind of groups that can really help people with their mental health that I just didn't realise was out there, which is great.
So another question for you relating to that is are there like practical activities, or can you do sort of on the lower key, so like reading or that sort of activity group?
Yeah, definitely. So there's kind of other groups that Cornwall Mind run. There's a creative writing course. I've not been on that one yet, but it seems very interesting. And there's also art groups and walking groups. So that walking is quite active, but lots of supportive spaces for people to go.
So what are your interests? We just want to know a bit about you.
Yeah, so I like to call myself a bit of a granny, really. I love reading, I love crocheting, and as much as I don't do it enough, I do like going on walks, especially kind of this time of year where it's nice and cold and sunny. but as soon as it's wet, I'm not going out.
And what kind of things do you like to crochet?
Oh, mainly clothes, to be honest. I love a little granny square cardigan. Yeah, I tried little toys. I'm not very good at them, but getting there, still learning.
They are quite hard though.
Yeah.
Unless you get help from like the older people that know how to do that crochet, then you're like, oh, I've got it.
I did work with a lady that is amazing at crochet, and I don't know if you know the roundabout in Truro. I think it's called Trafalgar Roundabout. There's always a crochet post box topper.
Yes, there is.
It's amazing, and my little claim to fame is I know the lady that makes them.
Oh, well, shout out to her, because they are lovely every time you see them and you brighten up your day. So, Chelsie, what does a day look like in your job?
So my job is very varied, which is one of the reasons why I love it. My day-to-day usually will be meeting 2 or 3 clients a day and doing whatever they would like to do. So usually it will be kind of a conversation about what matters to the person and their sort of hopes and dreams. And I am not a wizard, but I do love a challenge and a problem-solving activity. So I usually go in there and see what I can work on with the person. So that could be like applying for jobs and doing CVs and kind of practice interviews with them. Or it could just be something simple as they would like to go out the house and walk more. So I will stand with that person, go along the journey with them, however that looks to the person. So it could be going out for feeding the ducks, something fun like that, or joining a dance class. And what I do is basically work with them for as long as needed. And we try and keep them really independent. We like to liberate and get people moving on their road to recovery. For example, I would take someone to a group that they'd like to take part in and do that maybe for a couple of sessions, which is fun for me because I get to learn new skills as well. And then after a few sessions, I'll stop taking them and just see how they're getting on so that they're super independent and achieving what they'd like to do in their lives. And that is completely different for everyone. So a range of things, which is exciting in my job. I like to mix it up.
So it depends upon the person and what they want for their needs.
Yeah, definitely. And that can be kind of applying for benefits or active groups or learning, things like that.
So with each individual, do you go to them or can they come to you as well? Or does it work both ways?
Yeah, so I get my referrals from the NHS. So my manager gets a list of top callers or top ED admittances and we contact those people. Just say kind of, hi, this is my job. I can help you just achieve what you'd like and help better your life in any way I can. Sometimes those people I'm not helpful and that's completely fine. So it's usually just starts with a chat. What do you want in life? How can I help you get there? Can I help you get there? And then it's all fun from there.
Lovely, thank you.
And can I ask, for anybody who might be interested in getting into that line of work, I know you studied psychology, and for anyone maybe who's been through some mental health challenges themselves, what sort of route would you recommend taking? Is it an easy role to get into? Yeah,
so there's kind of different things at Cornwall Mind especially. So there's peer support workers who are people that have been through mental health treatments themselves that bring forward their own experience, which I think is really good because you are really showing you stand with a person and you understand maybe not directly what they've been through, but similar things. For me, I just been to university, really enjoyed the subject, and then when this came up I was like, oh, I love a challenge and it's a bit different. It's different to what I did in my studies. And just to get into it, I think if you are someone who's sitting there and thinking, I really care about people and I just want to make lives better, I think that's the best starting point that you can have. So get out there and get some experience, whether that's voluntary or not, and just give it a shot. If you care about people, you're the right person to do this sort of job.
And you've got to be a bit more practical as well, because it is going out and joining people and socialising in those environments.
Yeah, definitely. But I'm not the most social person, and it's good to challenge yourself as well. So as much as I'm helping people, I'm also kind of challenging myself, which is great. And I love a job that just, you keep learning, you keep pushing yourself. So it's a really great kind of company and area to work in.
Lovely.
Yeah, it's really inspiring and encouraging. So, Chelsie, we're wondering, what are your 2 key values, if you have any, that you feel integral to well-being?
Yeah, so one of mine is definitely working person-centred. It's something I use completely in my job. It's going to someone and asking what matters to them instead of kind of what's the matter with them. And by doing this, you learn what that person wants in their life and what they would like to do. And my job really is working out, is that something we can do? Is that something I can support you in doing, while also kind of working on their independence? So I definitely think the way to kind of recover and just feel good and better someone's life is by really listening and understanding what's important to them. So that's definitely like my number one value. So I love to listen, love to find out about people. And number two, it kind of links to my last point. It's just doing what's important to you as well. So for the longest time, I thought crocheting was really lame, and I learned about it in year 7 when I was in craft club and would hide it. But it's really cool now. So I love seeing about it on TikTok and things like that. Just doing what makes you happy without fearing other people's judgment, because one day it might become really cool. And that's what's happened to crochet and TikTok.
That's wonderful. Yeah, I love that approach, and 2 really excellent values I hold close as well. So appreciate that. If I could just ask you one more question, going back to what you said about one of your core values being about listening, what does a good listener look like to you? What does that mean for you?
So this is something I learned through a bit of voluntary work. I was a volunteer listener, and it's changed so much. So the main thing I have learned is most people are only listening to respond. So you're constantly thinking in your head, okay, what can I say back? And how can I relate this to myself? Which a lot of times in conversation we go, oh, you know, I've been through the same thing, something really similar last year, which is a completely normal part of conversation and definitely a good thing in the right circumstances. But the main thing that I learned from training how to be a good listener is stop thinking about what you're going to say next and just be in that moment, just listen. Silences is one of the most powerful things you can use, because you are just holding that space for someone, and by having that silence, someone is able to reflect on their own thoughts as well. So as much as the silence is uncomfortable to a lot of us, it is a great tool to use for listening. So yeah, don't listen to respond, hold that silence, and just be a person listening. It does a lot.
That was lovely. Like, that really kind of sums up listening to someone else.
Silence is so scary to me about 2 years ago, but now I love it. Yeah, it's great.
I don't really even want to respond to that, but I just feel that that's a textbook answer to me, but really feels like it comes from experience as well. So thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me.
It's a space to speak your mind, and now it's time to find out about intimate partner violence with Sarah Davidge talking to Richard.
A space to speak your mind with Cornwall Mind.
It's a space to speak your mind, and shockingly, across their lifetime, 1 in 3 women are subjected to physical or sexual violence by an intimate partner or sexual violence from a non-partner. It's 3 years since the launch of Yves Saint Laurent's Beauty's global programme, Abuse Is Not Love, which aims to help combat intimate partner violence. And this can take several forms, including physical, verbal, emotional, economic and sexual abuse, and women who are most risk with the highest rates are aged between 16 and 24. And not all abuse is visible either. This year's Abuse Is Not Love campaign is shining a light on educating everyone on the 9 warning signs before they escalate. So to find out more, I'm joined by Sarah Davidge, who's the Women's Aid spokeswoman. Good to have you on the show, Sarah. So can you tell me about these signs that we should be looking out for?
Absolutely. So intimate partner violence, domestic abuse, is part of a pattern of controlling and coercive behaviour. It can be threatening, degrading, it can be violent, it can include physical or sexual abuse, but not always. So it's really important to recognise the manipulation and the intimidation that abusers use to create that context of control. So as part of our Abuse Is Not Love partnership with YSL Beauty, we've did this 9 early warning signs that you can watch out for to identify abuse, and they are ignoring you, blackmailing you, humiliating you, manipulation, jealousy, control, intrusion, isolation, intimidation. And I think it's important to know that these 9 warning signs might not happen in isolation. So jealousy, for example, can be used to control and to isolate. Blackmailing, humiliation can be used to intimidate. So it's very much part of a pattern of behaviour, but there are these warning signs to look out for. And it's really important that we're aware that those are not acceptable in a healthy relationship.
And why do you think things like jealousy and control and these other invisible signs are seen by some as love and care? I mean, how can that be?
So with the research that YSL Beauty have done showed that over half of young people had experienced jealousy in a relationship. That in itself wasn't surprising. The really shocking thing was that a fifth, 22%, thought that it was a sign of love. And I think if you look at representations of relationships in the media, in literature, particularly directed towards young women, it's represented as something that's protective, that's even romantic. And it's really important that through work like the Respect Toolkit that Women's Aid and YSL Beauty are taking into schools around the country, that we are educating young people on what is a healthy relationship and crucially what isn't.
And we talk on this show about mental health as well. And there is such a link, isn't there? Because obviously this is affecting everything for that person and can affect everything in their lives. So how important is that as an aspect that we have to bear in mind?
It's incredibly important to think about the impacts of domestic abuse on somebody's mental health. And that's whether that is something they're experiencing in their own relationship or as a child survivor living with domestic abuse in their home within their parents' relationship. Domestic abuse has a long-lasting impact, and the impact on children can, also be long-lasting and last into adulthood and create trauma that we have to deal with. So it's really important that mental health support is available to survivors of domestic abuse.
Mm. And you mentioned there about for young people, educating younger people in schools. How do you go about that, and what are the best ways of doing that?
So the Expect Respect Toolkit that we've developed as part of the Abuse Is Not Love partnership between Women's Aid and YSL Beauty goes into schools, and it includes lesson plans right from the reception class right up till 18. And we're looking at things like how to control emotions, express emotions properly. We start off looking at things like gender roles in toys, and then it progresses gradually throughout the system into those more specific conversations. And it is really important that we equip young people with the tools to have those conversations, whether it's to think about their own relationships or to be able to call out friends when they see friends maybe displaying some of those behaviours, or to support friends who they see experiencing them, and to create a culture of recognising those behaviours in relationships.
And that is very important, that we're all part of the solution, men included, when they see these things happening as well, and not being silent and not being accepting of these things. So how do we go about doing that as well? How do we make the cultural change?
You're completely right, Richard, that dealing with domestic abuse is everybody's problem and everybody's responsibility, and we can all play a part across the community. So whether, that's police responses, specialist services, providing support, or all of us just calling out problematic behaviour when we see it. So if we see somebody changing their behaviour in a relationship, becoming more controlling, becoming more isolating, can we question that? And we can say that, hey, you're doing something that's not right there, that's not healthy. And it's really important, as you say, for men to take a part in that and to have conversations with their friends about what is normal and what is healthy in a relationship.
So if people are noticing these signs, what is the best first step to do? And it's not just, as you would expect, to speak to the friend, but also, as we're just touching on there, speaking to the abuser as well. So, what are the first steps? What's the initial thing that we should be doing?
In terms of having a conversation, I think every situation is different. So I think it's really important in having conversations about domestic abuse, particularly if you're concerned that somebody is experiencing it or perpetrating it, to think about safety as well, and to reach out for support, first of all, if you're at all concerned. But I think we can all have conversations about and model good behaviour as well is really important. But we can call out those small behaviours that we see there in the 9 pillars around isolation, intimidation. If somebody is increasingly changing their behaviour to keep their partner happy, speak to them. And when you speak to somebody, it's really important that you are patient, that you listen, you validate, you believe, but you don't push and you don't judge. Somebody may not be ready to leave or to accept that, but make sure that they know that you are there when they need you. and look after yourself, because it's difficult. Domestic abuse is hard on friends and family as well. So do reach out for support yourself if that's what you need to do.
And having the information to hand as well, I think, is so important. So having the resources there, and there is more information online, isn't there, that people can access?
Definitely. If you want to find out anything else about the Abuse Is Not Love partnership with YSL Beauty and Women's Aid, about the research we've talked about, or where to go for help, including links to Women's Aid support services, you can go to yslbeauty.co.uk/our-commitments/abuse is not love.
And we'll put a link on our website and on our podcast links as well, so people can see that as well. For now, Sarah Davidge, who's a Women's Aid spokeswoman, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Richard.
It's time now to hear about the menopause with Lisa.
A space to speak your mind with Cornwall Mind.
On today's show, we have Lisa Miners, so welcome back.
Hello.
Well, it is a new year, a brand new year. How are you feeling, Lisa, about this year? Any thoughts or plans?
Happy New Year, by the way. I'm feeling very optimistic, and mainly about being kind to myself. That's the most important thing.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say that's a wonderful, wonderful value to be entering the new year with. Absolutely. I think we could all do with being a bit kinder to ourselves at any time. So you were a volunteer with Cornwall Mind.
Yes. Very, very proud. Very proud, because during lockdown, I took part in the yoga and the online writing, and it helped me so much with connecting with people and being able to express myself and move. And it was such a terrifying time, but meeting the community of people was just awesome. And I felt that so strongly that if I had time and energy, I would spend that giving back to Mind. So this is really important.
Did you go for more the creative subjects, so like with creative writing? Did that just draw you into it because you thought, oh, it's something new, or have you done it before?
Yeah, never done it before, but I love writing. I love the feel of pen on paper and just being able to express in a way that was safe and that only you could see, and you could share what you created with people, or you didn't have to. But yeah, music and writing is in my heart. I just love it. And also language through writing, and even like poetry, song lyrics. And you can take so much comfort and strength and energy. It depends what mood you're in.
Yes, definitely. Depends
Very
what
much.
mood you're in. Do you like singing?
I love singing, yeah.
So how long have you been doing it for then?
Well, 28 years professionally.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, I started as a blue coat for Butlins Pontins
Oh, yeah.
at Great Yarmouth.
Yes.
And then a job came up working in the band, and a lot of rehearsal, a lot of learning, really, you know, you're grounding beginning songs, waltzes and quick steps, and all the way up to early 90s, Wigwam Bam, YMCA, and then progressed on, did a couple of cruise ships, and
Went up from there.
Yeah, and it was really hard learning, but it stood me in really good stead where I am now.
Yeah.
You gained a lot of confidence in that time, I suppose.
Yeah. And you project confidence more than what you have in it sometimes. And I'm finding now at 47, I am finally starting to get that inner confidence. And that's why being here is just so inspiring. And I'm so proud of myself for making that gentle step out of my comfort zone.
Yeah. And congratulations to that, because a lot of people out there probably still thinking, I need to get out of that comfort zone, I need to do something new. And you've just heard it from Lisa, she's done it herself.
Yep, don't ever regret. This is what I've always said to people. If you've got a chance to do something and you can, do it, and never regret, because you've only got this life as we are now. I feel just do what you can.
Yeah, that's a good sum up. So in relation to you being a female, we know the menopause is a hard subject to talk about, but at the same time, people are aware of it.
Yeah.
Would you like to explain a little bit about it?
Well, long story short, I am definitely in menopause. A couple of years ago during lockdown I had a hysterectomy, which was the best thing for my health. And since then, all these hormones are and these feelings are coming over me, and there's such a lot. And I think I'm really passionate actually about menopause and helping to support women in their later life, because at school we get taught about puberty, and sometimes we get taught, in my days it was just very scientific and there was no support for emotional sides, and there's nothing about, as far as I know, about menopause being taught in school. It's sort of
I think like later on in life it kind of hits you and you go, what is this?
Yeah.
And then you go, well, is there any groups out there, or is there anybody that I can talk to about it, like a professional? And sometimes you can have it earlier on, so vaguely, but it's kind of in your mid-40s and onwards, or it can be earlier, but you just don't expect it. It's very sudden.
No, education is so key, and what has helped me is being a part of a group on Facebook. It's Helen Tite, Pat Taylor, Menopause Muse, and it's a support program for anything advice. It's not doctor's advice or anything. It's both very professional women in their own rights that have come from the healthcare, fitness background, and it can be camaraderie from other people.
Source of community.
That are, perimenopause, coming into the menopause or coming out or within. It's a safe space to talk.
Yes.
So yes, this is a journey that is going to be ongoing for a while, but I am doing the best that I can for me, which is trying to be more active, move more and sit less, she says, eating better, but also talking.
Yes, I think it helps to talk, because you don't want to be sat there and then like all these feelings are like bubbling around. It is nice to have that community and go, you know what, are you feeling this today? And they go, yeah. And you can talk about it.
Yeah, that's it.
That's what really helps. And then I think today we know a lot more about it, and also men are becoming aware of it as well, so they're kind of taking it on board, and I think that's really helpful that everybody sort of knows about it. It's not just women.
Absolutely, men, boys, again, it comes back to education. My poor husband, bless him, there's a part of this journey that, I know it's a cliche word, but it feels like a new journey, that I'm actually finding my own self. But my poor husband is sorry. He wants to understand more about it, because when he was growing up, it was the same with me. It was never talked about. So please don't struggle in silence. Go into your doctor, talk to a friend, because some of the feelings can be absolutely crisis point, which is where mine got to. But now I'm starting to understand what's happening in my body. So talk if you can, or write how you're feeling.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And is there anything that you might add, or anything else you might say to men who may wish to support their women in their lives better, or partners?
Yeah, it comes back to hang on in there, because these changes that are going on physiologically, she can't even understand, so you're not going to have a chance. But just try and keep talking, and try not to roll your eyes.
It's kind of like sharing. You got to share with them.
Got to.
Otherwise, you don't know how someone is feeling.
Yeah.
Because you could just look at somebody, but unless you ask them how you're feeling that day, then you definitely know where they stand and where you stand, especially if you are in a relationship, or, if you're married. It's good to talk.
Yeah, it is. And it's been really tough for me and my husband to talk. So what I've done is, on the fridge, I've just put a couple of post-it notes with a smiley face, confused face, or a angry face, and I've put, how am I feeling now? And I'll just put a tick by the side of the fridge that's like, okay, not great, don't talk to me, give me space. He knows then, because there are some things I just can't say. I know what I want to say, but the words just won't come out.
Mm-hmm. So it sounds a lot about connection and just staying connected to those that you love and connected to yourself.
Yeah.
First and foremost.
Yeah, and I need to go. Sometimes I like to spend time out on my own just to try and really ground myself where I am. And it's remembering that that other person loves you and they want to help you, but just remind them that I need some help and to bear with me if it's going to work for you, because not all marriages do when a woman goes through menopause. And some women go through it absolutely fine. That's the thing. I mean, you hear about such dreadful stuff happening, but you can get through it, but you have to ask for help.
Definitely.
Can I ask you one more question, Lisa, about your values when it comes to mental health and recovery? Personally, we talked about connection, and for me, when I have been through recovery and mental illness, it's connection that I always felt was one of the main things that got me through, whether it was with a nurse, with a member of staff in hospital, a support worker, family, friends. Is there one or two core values that you feel support you with your mental health daily?
I'm finding, because I am living through this time, and I feel that what is helping me is expression. So for me, it's writing. I'm randomly finding myself just writing affirmations. I will get through this. I can do this. I can. I am asking for help. I'm getting the help I need. And singing is the key, literally. But I have to be mindful that I'm not singing songs that are like Titanic. That even though it's a fantastic song, it's wonderful. But when I'm feeling very, very down, I need to lift myself up. So up comes Sandy Girl by Blondie. So I'll sing along to that. And connection with nature.
Absolutely, yeah. So inspiring and beautiful to hear about, and thank you so much for sharing with us.
You're welcome. Thank you both.
A space to speak your mind with Cornwall Mind.
That was a really informative conversation with Lisa. And, talking about the menopause, you've got to have that mentality, first of all, to even come down here and talk about it. Because, women out there every single day, you know what the menopause is, but it's nice to actually hear from somebody that can voice their opinion.
Absolutely. Really great conversation.
I think it was very interesting that Lisa talked about what she does with her husband, because therefore she's talking to him and he's going, right, I know the signs, and even that they're on the fridge. I thought that was a really good one.
Tips we can all learn from.
A space to speak your mind.
Finally, in this month's show, it's time to find out what's happening at Cornwall Mind in January. And we're joined by Jo.
Oh, thank you, Theo, and Happy New Year to everybody. We've got lots happening. So we're really excited that we're going to be launching a community cafe in Camborne. It's starting on Tuesday, January the 17th, between 2 and 4 p.m, and it's at VR Surgery in Camborne. And you do not have to be a registered patient. So it's for anybody, literally anybody. And as you may have heard before, our community cafes are a space where you can come along and get some support from our team. You can get information, advice, really anything mental health related. Even if you're just lonely, just come along, have a cup of tea with us, have a chat. So that's launching, as I said, January the 17th, and that's in Camborne. We've also got 2 new 5 Ways to Wellbeing programmes launching. So we've got our first programme in Falmouth at the Tresina Centre, and that will be starting in February. And we've also got 5 Ways to Wellbeing starting in Loo, also in February. Our 5 Ways to Wellbeing programmes are a referral programme. So all you need to do is just get in touch with us. So you can email us at info@cornwallmind.org or give us a call. All the details are on our website. And then we put you in touch with the Wellbeing Coordinator and get you signed up to one of the programmes. It's really easy. So the 5 Ways to Wellbeing is an 8-week programme based around the 5 Ways to Wellbeing. So that's connect, keep learning, give, take notice, and be active. Evidence suggests that if we do more of those 5 things, it will help improve our mental health and wellbeing. It's a really lovely programme. It's friendly, no pressure, plenty of time for chatting over a cup of tea as well. In February, it's Time to Talk Day. So Thursday, the 2nd of February, Time to Talk Day. And we will be hosting an event at St Austell Food Bank. would be focusing on poverty. As we all know, times are really difficult right now. So we want to be able to offer a time and space where people can come along and have a chat, get some advice. We're hoping to have Community Energy Plus there to give a bit of fuel poverty advice, Citizens Advice Bureau, all sorts of things. Just really good advice that can really help people at this time where we're all kind of struggling a little bit. But there'll be plenty of time to chat. We're throwing in refreshments and there'll be a soup lunch. So if you can get to the St Austell area or you live in the St Austell area, you are more than welcome to come along on our Time to Talk Day event. There'll be lots more details on our website and social media soon, so keep an eye out for all that. We appreciate that not everybody can get to one of our community cafes, so we do offer an online social cafe. It usually runs on a Monday. It's every week. You would need to be referred to it, but again, you can self-refer, so just get in touch. We make it as simple as possible. Just send us an email or call us and we can sort that out for you. But it's just an online social cafe where you can have a chat, meet other people, all from the comfort of your own home. So for all the information and details about anything that I've talked about, any of our groups and cafes, head over to our website, cornwallmind.org. Follow us on social media. We're on Facebook and Instagram and LinkedIn. And if you want to send us an email for more information, it's info@cornwallmind.org.
A space to speak your mind with Cornwall Mind.
If you missed anything on today's show, you can download the podcast right now on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and now Amazon Podcasts, and tune in.
For more support and more information for better mental health, visit cornwallmind.org or call the Mind Helpline during office hours on 0300 123 3393.
There is a new 24/7 local urgent mental health response phone line. It's free to access by anyone, any age on 0800 038 5300.
And call the Samaritans anytime for free on 116 123.
If you'd like to be a part of the show, you can get in contact. Just email a space to speak your mind at gmail.com.
Or you can also follow us on Twitter or like us on Facebook.